Here at chess.com, I have a group, National Master All Rats Free Video Chess Lessons. We have currently 776 members. We're pretty much one of the fastest growing groups on chess.com. We have support systems in place to help the members. And we have a thread in our forums, Analyze Your Games, where members may come in and post. And I have a team of chess coaches that'll come in and help you out, and sometimes they're not able to do this. This is all voluntary. We do this for free as a service to you. If you would like private lessons with any of us, it's pretty much easy to arrange that. We do the best we can when we have time. You have to respect that. Services that are free, wait for us. We'll be there. Okay. I'd like for people to get there a little quicker. I notice some of these questions haven't been addressed, and I'm going to try to help clean up the forum and get some of these questions addressed and get more coaches coming in. If you'd like to coach and come in and help, talk to me. I'm there at chess.com. Let me know. We'll put you to work, okay? Nothing wrong with doing a service for free to help people out, okay? There does come a time when you have to charge, and like I say, I can't be expected to step in and do this all the time, but I'll do it when I can. Right now I have a little time. Anyways, Mike Boyle has submitted this game and asked us to comment. What do we think? And let's just have a look. Okay. So far, this is pretty straightforward. It's an English opening. Now, let me just give it a little opinion here as one way for White to treat this. This bishop c5 move is kind of perplexing as far as the evaluations go. I've studied in great detail John Watson's excellent series on the English that was written back 79 to 81. It's a 4-volume set, and I doubt if it's even in print anymore. Of course, all the analysis has changed since then, but the ideas that he presents, he's one of the best chess authors there is, in my opinion, in the modern era. A lot of these ideas that he gives are still hold up today. And Black playing bishop to c5 in a lot of these English openings is frowned upon. And one of the themes that White tries to handle this is with e3 and d4, something that White really doesn't do. Common, I believe, is for Black to play d5 in this position, and that's a whole nother issue. Black doesn't do it, and to demonstrate what Black could do is beyond the scope of this short video. Okay, let's just kind of see what happens. Why does White end up winning this game? For White to win, Black's going to have to make a mistake, and White does win, and it's going to be kind of apparent what happens. But the one thing I always stress in all my games analysis is develop your pieces. And that's what White has done with this move. So even though the e3 d4 line is playable, I can't fault developing a piece. Now, in this position, it's kind of tricky. Black can't really push e4. Perhaps he could. Knight g5 and then d5 to try to support the pawn. But that's something that you can sit down and analyze on your own. And because I encourage analysis, if you sit down and study a game, you ask yourself, what else could have happened? So e4 is certainly double-edged. I think it's beyond the scope of this move, and the fact that Black didn't play it, we can just set it aside, and White should this line come up again, be prepared to meet it, because it's certainly an interesting move. Just quickly, for example, if knight g4, Black should then strive for d5, and White will attempt to undermine that pawn center that Black has set up. The knight on g5 may have to go back to h3, and then it can come into play by way of to f4. But that's a whole different game. But Black doesn't play e4. He plays the slower d6. Okay. He defends the square, and there's nothing wrong with that choice. Okay, so White castles, and which is good. It's a developing move. Both sides are developing, and White elects to fianchetto his bishop, which is fine. All these moves are perfectly playable. This seems a little premature by Black. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'm wondering of the tactical soundness of it, because white could play, could take the pawn, and if black recaptures, there's immediate discover threats. Let's just take a look and see, for example, what could we do here? Okay, if we take, what are black's choices? He's either going to have to gambit a pawn or open up this line. So let's set aside gambiting the pawn for a second. Now, what's to stop white from simply playing knight takes e5 here? Okay, how's black going to recapture? If he does nothing, he's going to lose a pawn. If he, for instance, and he can't even safeguard his rook. Rook b8 just runs into knight c6. So black needs to take back with the pawn. If he takes with the knight, he might run into some more tactics with d4, although he has bishop b4. But anyway, let's just look at this and see, did white miss something here? What does black have in response? Okay, black has given up the exchange and a pawn. What does he have to show? I don't think black has anything to show here, unless I'm just missing something blatantly obvious. Black has no development to conduct an attack. You know, he's got a threat of bishop d4, but pitting the knight. But white has resources. He'll just play bishop b2 and answer b4 with knight a4. So I don't think black has anything here. So the alternative is to just sacrifice the pawn. Okay, but does black have anything with that? Why give up a pawn? Okay, white just missed a clear win of a pawn, it seems to me. I don't think black generates enough activity here. He can develop the queen with a threat, but white can play bishop d2 and new discovered threats arise. Let's see. Okay, queen a5. Okay. Now that white doesn't have time for pawn takes. Now let's look at bishop d2. Now black regains his pawn, but as I was saying, white has new discoveries. Does he get anywhere with them? Okay. Where are we going to go? Knight d5 or knight e4? Each one attacks the queen and puts the question to it. Again, white also has this knight e5 trick. It's back. I believe it looks just like white has just missed a clear win of a pawn. Okay, let's back up and see what happened. Okay, instead of taking the pawn, white played bishop b2. Okay, and let me find the right spot in the PGN. Black replied by developing his queen. This is fine, but this threat still exists on that long diagonal. White's not playing it. I don't know why. Okay, e3. Now this is preparing d4. And this next move doesn't seem to really solve black's problem on that long diagonal. And he plays queen b7. Now the queen's going to walk into a pin here. Okay, d4, bishop b6. Okay, what's happening? Now, it still seems like white has these tactical shots. Just pawn takes b5. Pawn takes b5 if black takes back. Now the knight has a discovery on the queen. White's just missing things here. Okay, rook e1, and black keeps allowing it. The threat is still there, although. Let's look at this. Okay, pawn takes, bishop takes, in order to be able to take back with the queen. But you know, you gotta like white here. He's got a decent game. Picked up the two bishops. The queen on b5 for black isn't a great square for that queen. White can do a few things here. He's got a lead in development. The black bishop on c8 is still sitting there. Let's see, pawn takes. How are you going to take back? If you take back with the knight, you can drop this pawn on d6. So you pretty much have to take with the pawn. Now, what can white do here? Chase the queen? maybe chase the queen with a4, well, queen d5. But white has the two bishops and black has a target on c6. It seems to me like white just has a clear advantage here. That pawn weakness on c6 will not go away. White's missed some things here. Okay, let's back up and see what happened. Get to the right point here. Is this it? C takes b5. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to load up the PGN again. That'll get us. Every time I'm still not quite familiar with how to find the right line when chess.com interface goes to work here. You have to experience to see what I'm talking about, but it puts a whole bunch of analysis in the game window, and you have to really search to find the main line. Okay, so let's bishop b2, queen b6. Okay, white doesn't opt to do the things that I was suggesting. Rook e1. Okay, we've gone here. Bishop e5, bishop a5. Okay, now white takes on e5, and only finally does he now capture on here, and black realizes he's going to drop material to the discovery, so he just gets the queen out of danger. But white's now picking up pawns, and black sees he cannot take it. So maybe the way white finally played it, he ended up winning more pawns than he could have. But some of these things were taking place earlier. Okay, so anyway, knight takes. Now let's just stop and take stock. White's 2 pawns ahead. Black's now maybe threatening to get the one back on c6, but not yet. There goes another pawn. And white's now 3 pawns ahead. You know, the game is winning for white. There's not really much more to this game. White committed no errors other than the fact that he didn't win material when it came up. I have talked about before in my video lesson series number 7, I had a series on candidate moves where I kept developing and declining winning pawns. But it just seems so. You know, did black ever have a defense? Let's go back. I mean, this is just brutal now. White's just 3 pawns ahead, and I guess he's down to 2 pawns ahead now. But it's simply a winning game for white. There's nothing black can do here, and the rest of the game really doesn't need any comment. Let's go back. Okay. Okay, b5, white didn't win a pawn. Okay, queen b6, white didn't win a pawn. e3. Okay, now can black ever save his position here? That's the question. Okay, since white missed a win of a pawn, right here. Oop, wrong place. b5. Since white missed a win of a pawn on this move, what could black have done different? Okay, what if let's get rid of some of the danger here. Let's try rook b8. Rook b8 gets the rook off the dangerous diagonal, and it helps secure b5. What does white have to show here for not capturing the pawn that he could have, not winning the material he could have? Is black okay? Is black wiggled out of this? That's the question. Development is about even. Black has developed his queen rook, white hasn't. White has developed his queen bishop, black hasn't. The queens match, the kings and rooks match, the kings knights match. White has a bishop on g2, black has a bishop on c5. What can white do here any different? He can put a discovered attack against the pawn on c6. Maybe, candidate moves knight d2 and knight g5, knight h4. Those are moves to look at. but black seems to be able to defend against those. You can just play bishop b7, or perhaps even queen c7, or as played later, queen b6. This seems to do it for black. Okay, so he played queen b6, and I've pointed out that white can win a pawn there, and instead he plays e3. Does bishop b7 or rook b8 save black here? It gets the rook off that dangerous diagonal. Let's try it. Rook b8. What does white do? Again, the development is similar to what I said. White has developed his queen bishop, black hasn't. Black has developed his queen rook, white hasn't. Now black's developed his queen, white hasn't. Looks to me like development's about even, and so is the game. Black is even a half a tempo ahead, simply because his queen is developed and white's isn't. So it looks to me like white missed a couple chances to win a pawn, and black missed a chance to hold on to it. So let's call this game even. It's a dog fight, and white should check his tactics a little bit. Work the tactics trainer. Okay, that summarizes this game. Thanks so much for your time. I'm going to add another video here in a moment. Thanks.